This video discusses the three domains that guide the work of teachers, teacher educators, and ed leaders here at CSU Fullerton. These domains inform what you will learn and how you will know and apply academic knowledge in public schools. This framework is an important tool because it helps us operationalize the responsive and caring educational practices needed to support all learners. The information presented here is built on decades of research and effective educational practices. The three domains come from a team of teacher educators and ed leaders here in the College of Education who worked for 3 years to co-construct this information for teachers, administrators, and educational allies so that we can all work together to maintain the quality and effectiveness of public school education. If you are interested in education at all, this framework will be helpful. For more information about the work concerning just, equitable, and inclusive education, visit our JEIE resource page on the College of Education's main website at CSU Fullerton. The framework is divided into 3 domains. Domain 1 consists of 12 teacher and ed leadership practices. Domain 2 consists of 3 professional propensities. And Domain 3 consists of 5 professional core ideas for teacher education, which include knowledge of the learner, knowledge of learning, subject matter, pedagogy and epistemology, and accountability and assessment. So let's start with the first, Domain 1, the practices. The epistemic practice of teaching and ed leadership include all of the processes needed to facilitate the learning and well-being of teachers and students. Epistemic practices are key procedures or conceptual structures that meaningfully engage individuals in critical thinking as defined by the norms of the professions. They must be well-defined, taught explicitly, and used over time with the intention of individuals developing the habit of mind to engage the practices when faced with problems of teaching, learning, and leadership. The practices here consist of knowledge and skills needed to facilitate teaching, learning, and creating school community. In other words, what is required to be a teacher or an ed leader? Let us look at a real-world example of the application of one of the practices, number 8, which is structured dialogue. In order to learn from practice as a teacher or an ed leader, you need to engage in conversations focused on identifying successes, challenges, solutions to the challenges, and discussing what evidence represents the application of the solutions. This process is a collective effort where you co-construct solutions with your peers. Let's discuss a real-world application of the structured dialogue process. A group of teachers and an administrator are reviewing student work from a common project completed by students across subject areas. A teacher leader is facilitating the discussion of what was successful, what was challenging, and asks for input from all participants. The administrator is participating in 2 roles, one as a fellow teacher, and the other as a source of resources for the teachers to continue their work. The team chooses one challenge to address and develops testable solutions that each teacher is responsible for. The solutions are enacted in each teacher's classroom and focus on areas where students were having the most challenges. The administrator provides resources and explains any material or monetary constraints. Finally, the team determines what type of outcomes represent acceptable evidence of student learning, and then come back together to discuss what worked and what still needs attention. All of these factors are focused on supporting student academic success and the types of evidence teachers can collect to inform their work. So this is an example of a practice, the ability to engage in structured dialogue. that helps develop solutions for student learning and teacher practice. Next up are the professional propensities, and there are three of them: justice, equity, and inclusion. These propensities are the fundamental concepts of teaching and educational leadership and bridge all the knowledge and skill domains with the core concepts of teaching and ed leadership. In other words, professional propensities guide the work of pre-service teacher candidates, teachers, administrators, and other community stakeholders. Please pause the video to review the three propensities that candidates, teachers, and ed leaders share. Now let's take a look at the first propensity, justice. The first propensity is the concept of justice, or the commitment to meet the educational needs of all students in a fair, caring, respectful, non-discriminatory manner. It's the accumulation of a number of inclusive, equitable, expansive, translanguaging efforts that result in cultural respect, personal and group boundaries, and other productive forms of socialization and education. When a teacher is just or justice oriented, they are aware their first and most important responsibility is to do no harm. The next responsibility is to address trauma in a caring and responsible way. According to Wright and Ryan, 2014, there are two types of trauma students can experience. Type 1 consists of events that are experienced in the short term, like natural disasters, accidents, shootings, and industrial accidents. Type 2 traumas are chronic, continuous, repeated, and long-term. Examples of type 2 traumas include bullying, exploitation, microaggressions, harassment, or isolation at school, extreme poverty, homelessness, and other displacements. Justice in these situations starts with teachers and administrators conducting careful and sensitive assessments of students' experiences. These experiences can be developmental, academic, psychological, and social. Second, with the input and participation of parents, students, and teachers, a plan of action is developed to support students' social, academic, and executive function through iterative and repeated activities customized for the student's needs. This plan includes accomplishments, plans to deal with challenges, and strategically using their assets and funds of knowledge to engage the student in cognitive processes that reflect their planning and analysis and anticipation skills. Lastly, teachers, administrators, and parents implement the plan and invite the student to be the lead in their own development. Notice how justice in this sense is about restoring the student to a level where they can feel whole, accomplished, self-determined, and included in the school and the greater community. This is different than the criminal justice system's concept of justice, where there is a victim, a perpetrator, a crime, fault-finding, and punishment. The criminal justice concept of justice is about fault-finding and disruption. Justice in an educational sense is about restoring individuals to a level of self-determination, confidence, accomplishment, and belonging. Here we focus on the educational needs of students in a fair, caring, respectful, non-discriminatory manner. We find that this propensity helps and happens at every aspect of education, no matter what academic level the student is or the role of the teacher, teacher educator, or the leader. Finally, we got to the core knowledge domains. Again, the core knowledge domains include knowledge of the learner, learning, subject matter, pedagogy, epistemology, and accountability and assessment. This is the academic content of our programs, and our faculty teach you how to apply this knowledge when facilitating student learning and leading teachers in classrooms and school settings. And so far, Here's an example where we're going to look at knowledge area for the learner. When we are learning how to effectively teach or lead in a school organization, CSU Fullerton has an intentional way of contextualizing the learning for all. Focused inquiry is the study of investigation of academic knowledge that is presented in coursework. This includes reading and conducting research, co-constructing knowledge with others and professors, and presenting what you have learned. Directed observation refers to the observation, documentation, and analysis of specific examples of the application of academic knowledge to practice. Lastly, guided practice is the use of specific procedures and tools with the knowledgeable other as a guide. They monitor and help you self-assess, and then you observe how the application of knowledge to practice from focused inquiry is applied. During focused inquiry, you will study different learning challenges of students and learn how to create student profiles. The student profile is based on conversations with students, records of past academic performance, and recent student work samples. Next, you will have opportunities to observe students in the classroom to better understand the impact of student challenges and to become familiar with the students' academic challenges, peer socializations, teacher interactions, and thought processes related to the lesson. During and doing this type of directed observation allows you to gather information about students' use of prior knowledge, engagement and expression of their learning, personal interests, talents, and skills, and approaches to challenging work. Lastly, you will then plan learning episodes for the students, where the knowledge about the students will be interpreted and translated into meaningful, productive learning. Now let's put this all together. We have the teaching and ed leadership practices, core knowledge domains that are the foundation for learning, teaching, and leading in the College of Education here at CSU Fullerton. The bridge between them are the professional propensities, domain 2. We have identified the propensities as justice, equity, and inclusion. This approach recognizes that our candidates have often been expected to build this knowledge without explicit instruction on how to integrate the propensities as they develop into teachers and ed leaders with specific epistemic agency while applying the core ideas of the profession. Hence, the purpose of creating professional propensities is grounded in the principles of justice, equity, and inclusion, and highlighting them as domain 2 of the approaches elevates their role in the development of courses, curriculum, instruction, and assessment. In summary, the College of Education is proud to help new teachers and ed leaders conceptualize their very important work of developing future community members with intention and integrity. This framework, grounded in the professional propensities of the profession, illuminates how uniquely prepared our graduates are.